there is hardly any other vehicle that is more German than this one. This is here the all-new Audi A5 Avant. Wait a minute, A5 Avant? That sounds weirdo, because so far it was the Audi A4 Avant and the Audi A5 Sportback. But now they are merging the models, they're reorganizing their portfolio and also renaming everything in electric vehicles and still the combustion engines. Everything about it and how good this new generation is and how German this vehicle actually really is. Everything about that with Thomas now to go through in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front. All new A5 generation, that is at the same time the A4. Here with a wider grille in the front. This one is also the S-line. So some sporty accentuations like here the air, air directions, so to speak. It really goes through the wheel arch. And this is also equipped with the black package. So we have a lot of dark elements here, also at the side mirror caps and so on. So you could also get it in a brighter styling. And here where the Audi rings are also like darkened out, I think it's not a good decision, because when you look in the back mirror when you're driving in front of the vehicle, you hardly see the Audi rings then. So I would always prefer a version where you have then the bright Audi rings. Bright is the color for today here, glacier white. It fits the vehicle very well. And this here, so far it was the A4 estate. This one here, the A5 estate, or Avant as they call it, Audi. This is also like the typical German Vertreter car. So like a salesman car, you have a long mileage, you visit different business partners, and all the big German corporations like Siemens and so on, they take these vehicles here in masses in their fleets and spec it like mid-trim or something. So this is like the typical German business car, together also with a BMW 3 Series Touring, for example, a Mercedes C-Class as the estate, and then a VW Passat and so on. So that's why also this is so interesting to the German market, but of course to all other markets as well. And headlamps here, before we get to the naming reorganization, 3 steps, normal LED, like a mid-trim LED, and this here the matrix LED. Top trim, then you can also get different signatures, also has a shimmering effect, cascading turning indicators in the front as well. Really strong front hood, also still pretty long. This is like the longitudinal engine built platform still, and the length now here in this new generation is 4,83 meters or 190 inches, and it has gained actually about 8 centimeters in wheelbase, so around 3 inches. The overall length gain is 7 centimeters or about 3 inches. So all of this length gain went into a longer wheelbase. But does it also translate into more legroom? We'll soon find out about that. Then, so what is the logic here? Obviously you see this here in estate, or as we Germans say, Kombi. Germans love their Kombi. That is our name for calling it like an estate vehicle. Or it's interesting, right? In Germany we say Kombi, in the UK we rather say estate, and in the US everyone says wagon. So yeah, everyone has their own definition for that. And this new A5 generation is available like this, as the estate, as the Kombi, but also as the A5 sedan, which at the same time is somewhat also the Sportback, because it has a wide hatch opening, like a liftback opening, and they are merging the models. So before we had the A4 Avant, the estate, then there was the A4 sedan, separate trunk, then there was the A5 Sportback with the liftback opening, and A5 Coupe and A5 convertible. And so there were actually 5 different models. Now it's getting really complicated, and these 5 models now get 2. You know, because there's no coupe, no convertible anymore, and there's just like the merger of Sportback and sedan, and then this one here, the Avant, the estate form, which at the same time also is not like this boxy estate here, but more fluent form. So in a sense also maybe, yeah, like this shooting brake design. What do you think about it? Tell me in the comments. Wheels from 17 to 20 inch, that's the span. This one here is the 20-inch wheel, the biggest one, and here also with a very interesting golden accentuation on the inside. Ooh, contrasting red brake calipers. So yeah, this is also spec'd with some options. Again with the black package, blacked out and lower part, mirror caps, black around the windows. I'm usually not a big fan of this black design. Leah is rather, she's like, let's make it sportier and, you know, really sinister. And I was like, no, more elegant, more chrome and something. She's like, that's boring, your grandpa design and so on. Yeah, but why not? That's the different taste here, definitely. Then in the rear, very interesting here, the light strip goes all the way through. That looks stunning. And this is also equipped with the optional OLED. Oh, and you've seen here, this is the proximity sensor or proximity light. So this organic LED, which is not alive, it's just because there's a carbon content, that's why you call it organic, has this shimmering effect as well. So this looks kind of alive a little bit. And then this proximity sensor is when there's there it is, like a car approaching and then says like, yeah, go away, we don't want to have to do anything with you or something like that. Yeah, that's very interesting. It's again an option on top. You don't have to go for it. It's more like this, hey, we make it even more tech screaming out thing. That's what they do at Audi right now. But I think design-wise, it works very well. You've probably seen that BMW has earned like a lot of criticism for their recent design models and so on. And this is really different at Audi because the reception here from the exterior design, from all the latest reviews we did, was exceptionally well. And that was, yeah, almost something special nowadays because most of the new cars that are released, people really criticize the design and not happy with it. But the recent Audi designs on the exterior receive a great feedback. Do you agree? Tell me in the comments. And then talking about design, there was this big thing about the fake exhaust. You know, the Autogefühl fake exhaust police, where you can also, of course, buy your own t-shirt. Check out our shop. We have been pushing against the fake exhaust, which has been exceedingly used at Audi. This one here is a 2-liter TDI, so a base engine, so to speak. And here, this is also a real exhaust. And it looks really beautiful. And they now turn back to honest design. So in some models, then maybe like the exhaust is hidden underneath, or it's completely visible. And here even like a normal TDI has then the exhaust on this side with a sporty, cool design actually. Then the base petrol engine is a little bit wider there, the exhaust, but it's also a real one. And of course there's the S model, both for the Sportback and the Avant, which have then 4 pipes, so 2 on each side. And they're actually all real. Then about suspension technology. So you start with a base suspension, then you can pick a sports suspension, minus 20 millimeters, or you can pick an adaptive sports suspension, which rules then in a certain spectrum, and you can also set the driving modes and it adapts accordingly. We also have it equipped you with the adaptive suspension for the day. The fixed sports suspension, I would say, you have to like it because that makes the ride really rough. And of course, with the comfort, you can also vary with the wheels. The bigger the wheel is, the sportier the driving will feel, but the less comfort you have. So my tip for the best comfort, if you want to have that, is probably to stick with like smaller wheels, maybe the base wheels, or go like a good compromise, 18-inch. And I think 18-inch adaptive suspension is the best compromise of best comfort. At the same time, you got a little bit nicer looks than just with a base 17-inch. So that's, yeah, probably my pick. By the way, the towing capacity, 1.8 tons or 1.9 tons for the S models. And talking about the differences there, of course, we have something under the hood. Really interesting, by the way, how it's like cut in here, like with a lot of distance here. This is a design thing that is often used with very sporty vehicles, like in the past. It's pretty cool. Let's open that thing. So we have here, this is also like the typical Vertreter, the salesman engine, typical business engine, a 2-liter TDI, 2-liter 4-cylinder, 204 horsepower, front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, in this case with the all-wheel drive spec. And this has also the new mild hybrid technology. And this MHEV technology is the MHEV Plus, so to speak, or that's how they call it. And it's equipped here with the TDI and also with the S model. And this has a recuperation function of up to 25 kilowatt. This is really strong from MHEV engine, and 1.7 kilowatt is the gross battery size. I'll just close the hood. By the way, here nice insulation under the hood. This looks also properly painted and so on. Gas struts, so good build quality here from the first visual part. The ignition is on, that we can see the headlamps. That's why we have this peeping or beeping. So I close the hood again. So this MHEV system, is really sophisticated, and you will have a lot of electric moments. So you will have, for example, you run through towards the traffic light and it will use the recuperation, shut off the engine and so on. And you also at the same time have a power boost that you can be a little bit quicker. Then you will also get a 2-liter TFSI, the turbo petrol engine. This one without the mild hybrid technology. That is a strange decision because the Q5 will always get that, for example, in new generation. Here at Audi, they said, yeah, we want to keep the petrol engine a little bit cheaper and then without the MHEV technology that is more accessible. But I mean, you can also understand that. However, the price does not come from that. It comes from all the extras and these new tech packages. So the new reorganization is 3 different technology packages which have certain content, so you don't have to configure so many things individually. That's also a new concept. Yeah, and then on top of that, we also have a separate review to that, is the S model, both for the Sportback and the Avant, with the 3-liter V6. And you can enjoy this review, of course, later, because it's also a very exciting thing to do. Last but not least, plug-in hybrids will be available, 22 kWh net battery with technology that is also shared with the Porsche Panamera or the Porsche Cayenne and so on in these facelifted generations. So we will also have a significant pure electric range as a plug-in hybrid, so 80, 90 kilometers or something. 50 miles is a realistic electric range also for the plug-in hybrid models. We also have in the video description and also in a separate comment always the engine facts for you if you want to read them, calmly and really follow all of the facts and figures then later on. And talking about the all-wheel drive system, quattro, but there are different quattros out there, and this one here all the way sets sails on the Quattro Ultra. It's always the combination dual clutch transmission with the Quattro Ultra, and that means front wheel based platform, and then also power is sent to the rear axle on demand, but not up to 50-50, even to 30% in the front, 70% in the rear. How is it possible? They use a very, very strong clutch, a stronger clutch than usually being used, and also when you accelerate, more weight is pushed to the rear just by physics, and that also enables the engineers to send more power actually to the rear wheels, and that you just have more grip on the rear wheels. That's very interesting. So by that's also possible. And here with the normal Quattro Ultra systems in the A5 models, it's the case that the rear axle can be completely disengaged for more efficiency gains. So in most situations then, when you drive slowly, for example, steadily, you don't accelerate hard, it will only be front wheel based. But when you accelerate hard, straight or also out of a corner, then more power is sent to the rear wheels. On the S model, the rear axle is always a little bit engaged to give it a little bit more, rear power from the base setting, and it also adds a torque vectoring at the rear axle. That is not available in here for the base Quattro Ultra, but we'll see also in this review, we will drive it very soon. Does it feel front wheel biased? Or is it not the case, especially when we accelerate out of the corners? So this will be a huge part also later in the driving review. When you hit the turning indicators in the rear, by the way, it's not only that you have this cascading form, but also you have this additional triangle indication that is signaling, warning, there's something going on, danger, danger. I mean, it's a nice idea. It's of course not a must-have, but why not? And they can even take cloud data into account to make this warning automatically if there's an accident recorded or something like that. So this is all under the topic communicating to the outside world from the vehicle via lighting technology. This is a topic that will become bigger and bigger. I'm quite certain of that. About bigger and bigger, by the way, if you want to do some towing, 1.8 tons, or if you go for an S model, 1.9 tons. And that might be a discussion at home. It's like, hey, honey, we need an S model. Yeah, because there's more towing capacity, This is the key fob, matte black, feels good, actually pretty nice. Then here the door handles are integrated, flush in a way, and then underneath you press a field. This is capacitive and it does not give you any feedback, so that's not my favorite, I have to say. Door closing sound, however, it's pretty good. Both in the front and also in the rear. You see, start to pick up the rain now. Then inside of the doors is also covered here in the top part. Not super soft, but something in between hard and soft. I would take it that way. Then this very trim, we have a fabric insert. You can get different trims here for the inside of the doors as well, but I think it looks pretty cool. This unit here for the lights and for the side mirror switches, you see is like one field and then hashtag capacitive BS to control which field it is. Not too good. And also when you grab the door, sometimes from the inside, you might scratch or like touch something here while grabbing for the door. Not ideal, but here the window levers are awesome. Clicking sounds, 2 steps. That's pretty cool. Then inside of the doors here, this is also not really covered, hard packed, just like a rubber lip on the lower part that things don't fly around.
Bottles, yeah.
Yeah, for the bottles, they don't slide around that much. Then an S entry badge. Yeah, Leah always likes to film the entry badges, I know. Yeah. This is the S line then, not a true S model. An S line also, steering wheel here. And yeah, the thing is, if you now compare our S model, true S model review, it looks pretty similar indeed. That's the thing with S-Line and S. Here at the moment, everything is darkened out from the steering wheel and from the here from the monitors and so on. But when I hit the ignition in here, there we go. See here, then this is illuminated at the steering wheel, and also the 2 screens become alive. Actually, a third one back then the passenger side, soon more to that. There's also electric control here of the steering column. It was all the way down here. Electric control of the steering column. First time in this segment actually. There we go. And then the seats. There are base seats available. Then these here are the sport seats. Then there would be Sport Seat Plus, which we had in the S review. And here the Sport Seat, they have more accentuation around the shoulder area. In this case in here with a fabric cover with quilting here. That is really cool. It looks cool, it feels nice, also pretty soft. I found them actually pretty cool. So yes, I'm a fan here of these fabric seats here. I think they look great. They also are extremely comfortable indeed. So that's, yeah, you sit very well in these here. And with 189, 602, you also have enough headroom left. There's also a version with panoramic roof available, of course. This in this case here then without. So great comfort indeed, enough space. There is a discussion, of course, not everyone likes fabric seats. Some perceive it as, that's because of the 12-volt battery. So some perceive it as not that high quality, but it is a great quality. Actually, it looks great and it feels nice, but I can understand, and I think it's also better if Audi would offer a high-grade leatherette like BMW does. You know, that you have the same slick look, also the same features, also because if you prefer to wipe it clean or because of the looks or how it feels. High-grade leatherette is more appealing to the market. And I also like high-grade leatherette. And I think BMW has a better strategy there with a high focus on high-grade leatherette, more animal-friendly. They also use more sustainable materials. And Audi always says, either you go animal skin or fabric seats. And I think that's not a good strategy decision. Rest of the cockpit is also super interesting. So you have, I just start the engine now, then the 12-volt battery dies on us. So here you have this wide unit then here, 2 different screens, 14.5 on the right, 12-inch on the left. And this is then here the optional passenger screen. You don't have to go for it, but you can, for example, watch YouTube here and watch some autography reviews then for the passenger. Why not? Then here the glove box is also probably dampened when it falls down like this. And then there's like a huge middle console here. We also have adaptive cup holders. That is great build quality as well. You can also put the key in there. That's a practical thing. Still some physical interface here, for example, with the volume knob. But however, here a lot of high gloss black usage. I think there should be an alternative to that. In the front you have 2 USB-C chargers and an inductive charging pad, which also has some cooling holes there, so that the phone does not overheat. The drive select for the driving modes is here. You click it, and the good thing is that you can keep clicking it, and then you switch through the driving modes without being forced to put anything on the screen. Then the shifting lever, automatic shifting lever, is here in the lower part. Easy, also nice integration, and always dual clutch transmission. Then you have this fabric cover here for the armrest, also nice. A lot of space underneath, but no charging here. And then you can also fix it in different heights here. Then the driver POV, here these buttons at the steering wheel, they actually have a nice clicking feedback, so at least that, but it's once again one big button. So the previous generation was, of course, better in that respect. Thank you for this GPS message. So here, when you switch the driving views like that, the RPM counter is, by the way, here. It's a little bit weird integration, I feel. Then we have a head-up display. You can see it there in front of this S5 Avant. Also shows some GPS stuff. And then there's the infotainment system on the right side. Yeah, you can see it sometimes is a little bit reflecting, definitely. As for the climate unit, that's the thing. The previous generation had the best climate unit here with the turning knobs, but which were like click, 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 was the best. So this can only be worse, so to speak. And then I really don't get it what they thought about this. So, I mean, yes, the thought is that you don't just click anything here for the climate unit, but you rest your hand on it. And then like this, that you
maybe
don't...
Maybe your finger is too long.
Maybe your finger is too long. Oh, now it gets cozy here. You tried?
It works, yeah.
But this is not the natural...
Not the best solution.
You know, but because either you...
My finger is okay.
That's better?
Yeah.
Because either you have to put your hand here and then do like... like
your
this.
finger is too long.
I mean, this looks super weird, right? Or you have to do it like this and then... What the hell? Who designed this? I don't get it completely. So either you make it like freestanding that you can easily touch it like that, or you put a separate knob, right? I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Other than that, this is here Android based and it's way quicker than before. Also has some good response. You can also here check out what you do with the inside. This one here, by the way, also equipped with the Bang & Olufsen sound system. This one without the integrated speakers here. In the S review, we also had additional speakers here, which are not that necessary. And I think the sound is decent, sound is good, but not that overwhelming. Let's take it that way. Here, by the way, this is the CarPlay integration, also wireless or wired, and same for the Android Auto. The infotainment system now also features ChatGPT integration, like here. First of all, but however, to show the difference, when I ask for something car-specific, like here,
hello,
set temperature to 23 degrees.
I'll set the temperature to 23 degrees.
Okay, so that's concerning the car directly. But now if I ask something more informative, like here,
hello, I'm listening.
What is the origin of the name Audi?
According to ChatGPT, the name Audi was derived from the Latin translation of the founder August Hawk's last name, which means listen in German.
It's said, by the way, Hawk, because the English voice cannot spell the German CH like name was August Horch. By the way, here the head restraints, they are semi-integrated. You cannot move them up. So they are separated, at the same time half integrated in the sport seat. Yeah, but I think for me, even as a tall person, it's fine. For Leah, what about the height of the, when you lean backwards, it's fine? Yeah, for her it's also fine. And let's check out, because when I'm driving fast, she needs to hold on tight. They are also there and also dampened. Here the handles from the inside. And we also have them in the back. Yeah, it's a little bit dark there in the back at the moment, but we have actually 4. So it's still important to have them. Some manufacturers now reduce them by cost savings. Rear seats, really exciting here. First of all, I have also this shade available, manual one. Then we also have these doors covered here, and then here with the like living room fabric atmosphere. Just here the lower part, this is just hardback. Here, by the way, once again, this Bentley Continental inspired 3-dimensional surface. And then here we have the same nice fabric seats for the rear from the fabric sport seats scheme. Also, once again, with the stitching, this also adds softness to it. Actually, ISOFIX here. You can slide these open and back again. It's a practical thing to have. The top tether here in this case, then with the normal sport seat, does not have a special cover. It's just like this, but that's actually also fine. Large middle tunnel here in the lower part, 2 USB-C chargers in the top part here. And then you have also a climate unit with clicking feedback, but you just have it like acoustically. So yeah, also seat heating for the rear seats is available. Then you can fold down this here for adaptive cup holders. This has a great build quality, like, you know, like the hinges, and also Just listen to that. Could do this ASMR all day actually. This and also here the ski hatch thing. There we go. So you see, also here with the head restraint. Can you sit in the middle part here? It's a little bit stiffer, of course, than here in the middle part, but that's fine. Headroom-wise also works, but the legroom is the problem. And that's also the thing about this vehicle in general. Headroom is no problem, neither in the sedan nor in the Avant. Here you have a lot of headroom left with 189, 6'2", also in the rear. The sedan works as well for tall adults, no problem at all. But this vehicle has a problem with legroom when there are tall people driving. So when I'm driving, the seat is like this, and then I do hit the seat with my knees. There is this recess here that would work better when the seat is a little bit higher. But the sport seat here and the sport seat plus, they are both very voluminous. So if you go for the base seat, then the legroom is a little bit better. But in general, like this relation from exterior length and wheelbase to the space you have on the interior is not really acceptable for this segment. It is one of the biggest criticism points of this vehicle, which is otherwise, of course, really nice. But yeah, that's what we do. We always give you the pros and cons. Trunk, boot, loading area, Gepäckraum oder Kofferraum, as we say in German. Here, pretty cool here with the automatic, not only the hatch, but here also this cover here goes up and then goes down later on again in this rail, pretty cool. And here also fits underneath in a vertical way, this trolley. Then we have the width, which is even a little bit more than 1 meter or 40 inches. And the length here is some 1 meter and 10 or 43 inches. And the height here is about 70 centimeters or 27 inches. There is a net here if you don't have to go for it to secure some stuff underneath. This small stuff here is just, like for the tools and so on. And this is here actually 450 liters with the MHEV system. If you would have the turbo petrol engine without mild hybrid, it would be 480 liters. Then very important here to fold the seats. Easy solution. There we go. Also on the other side. Okay, this does not work. I mean, these are very early vehicles in the build stage, but obviously here the automatic folding did not work. And here, by the way, I've set the driver's seat to my position. You see here it's really close with the head restraint, but you don't have to move it forward and backward again. That's it. So yeah, about this mechanism that is automatically folds, yeah, one half did work, the other one not in this case. And then here the total length. I mean, this looks pretty good here. Total length at 1 meter 85 or 73 inches. So very well usable one. Pretty nice in acceleration. We are only driving here the 2-liter TDI now with 204 horsepower. It's the all-wheel drive spec. 6.9 seconds is the acceleration figure. And so I picked that here intentionally because I've been driving the same route yesterday with the 3-liter V6 with the S5 model, which you can also see in the other review. And I want to see about the differences, but yeah, acceleration-wise, it's really nice. So very decent acceleration indeed. And I also did this like with the acceleration when cornering at the same time to see what does the steering wheel do. But really nicely I could use the torque steer, so I could let the steering wheel come around. I don't have to do the work myself basically, and there was not much understeer or something like that. And yes, although it's a front-wheel driven platform, here this all-wheel drive system, as I explained to you earlier, can send a lot of power to the rear wheels, up to 70%. And it happens like the stronger you accelerate. And then there's also the reduction of an understeering effect. So I think that works actually pretty well. We soon also go through some winding corners there up the hill and see how it behaves there. Of course, the diesel itself, you hear it more pronounced than you would hear a petrol engine. However, it is actually well insulated. So in the sport mode, especially dynamic mode here, but if you go, for example, to the comfort or for the efficiency setting, then it's way more silent, and it can also happen that you have all electric moments. So here, for example, now when the RPM is lower, you hardly hear anything from the engine, for example. Or when you roll to the next traffic light, then you might have the engine turned off completely. That can actually also happen. So the whole vehicle is more silent than before. It feels a little bit more refined than an outgoing A4 Avant. And yeah, I mean, there are also things that are maybe not ideal, what we pointed out in our static parts here, exterior, interior. But then again, it really feels like they, step towards a different segment. That's I think, really astonishing. The adaptive suspension is doing a very good job. Although we have 20-inch wheels mounted here, we have good comfort. Of course, like a choice of smaller wheels would bring you more comfort. So there's always a trade-off between the looks on the exterior and the comfort you get on the interior. But this adaptive suspension evens that out quite well. Still, I would not go for 20-inch wheels because, as I said, they just reduce, I feel, the comfort a little bit too much. Still, it's okay. You can drive it with the 20-inch wheels. That's fine, definitely. And also when you accelerate out of the roundabout and so on, is always fun. So not only an S model, even a base model is a lot of fun. So the main difference is definitely the engine and also a little bit sportier setup. However, if you go here for the adaptive suspension, you already come quite close, because then also you can switch through the different modes and pick from your dynamic setting or the auto settings. Here, over some speed bumps, it's also nice and comfortable. The seats are holding me tight on the one hand, on the other hand they are open enough to give you comfort. And I love the steering input. Soon when we do the winding corners, we'll see also more about that. So it is direct, it's really precise, it's even more precise and direct than before. In the driving modes, it differs a little bit, so I can switch through them right here. Dynamic mode, then have a little bit more feedback in there. It doesn't make the biggest difference though. Here, especially in the diesel, when you go with the lower gear, then you hear it more in the dynamic mode, because just the gear lower, as soon as I go, for example, to the efficiency mode again, then I have to go off the gas, the throttle once. There we go. When we're going uphill, then we already still hear it a little bit more silent than before. So it depends on the driving modes and also in the gear you are actually in. This MHEV system here actually is working quite differently than we have been experienced with like smaller previous generation MHEV systems before, I have to say, because here you feel more that you have sometimes the electric moments. Also, sometimes you feel that you have an electric boost while accelerating, and it doesn't really quite feel plug-in. It doesn't feel not quite like a true inbuilt hybrid, but already more than a standard mild hybrid. You know what I mean? So you feel that they can recuperate a lot of energy, and that their battery capacity is also the size where you can really have a significant assistance from the electric part. Now some winding corners and a little bit more on the throttle, and especially when we accelerate out of the corners. Let's see how it does it here. Super smooth. Look at the steering movements. I'm on the dynamic mode again. And when I accelerate out of the corner, I don't have the feeling of understeering or that I would be pulled too much from the front. There's also enough power sent to the rear wheels, even here in the normal A5 version, even if we don't have the S5 version. This is really cool. Such a smooth driving experience. I really, really like it. So no understeering, great steering precision. And if you compare previous A5 and A4 models, this one is really way more refined. It has more comfort, it has more precision, it is sportier yet more comfortable, it is more silent, it feels more sophisticated while driving, clearly. So there's a lot of talk out there, and German premium manufacturers have done a lot of things wrong, yes. And I made my experience myself with failing parts in my S5, and the dealer handling is horrible. So there's not everything good about it, and they have a lot of work to do. But it's also not correct to call it out like the end of the German automotive industry. Everything is bad. Everyone will go bankrupt. Everyone will lose their jobs. No, that's also not the case, because they are still building great vehicles. And this driving experience we have here, with the balance of sportiness and comfort, is something that the new manufacturers do not achieve yet, you have to say. And then, of course, as a German premium manufacturer, you have to work that it stays that way, at least that you do your own job well, that you improve your service and your dealer network, and they rather have to work on the reliability. You know, that's the main focus, I think. The engineering, the hardware engineering as for the driving experience here is absolutely exceptional. I can just underline that. And yeah, visually the difference between S model and the normal A5 model is becoming slimmer or thinner in the visual part, exterior, interior as well. And I can also stress it from a driving experience. Yes, the S model is more fun. The biggest difference is the engine. The V6 petrol engine is much more fun. It's more lively, it sounds better and so on. It's greater to drive, but the difference is not that large, because even the base model here, so to speak, is already a lot of fun. This 2-liter TDI with a 6.9 seconds acceleration figure is already quite agile actually, and with the mild hybrid system drive, it also gives me this electric boost out of the corners and power sent to the rear wheels, so I don't have the understeer. It works very well, and it is coming by that S-line closer to a true S model, especially if you have here the adaptive suspension. Then the whole suspension dynamics, how they work, is of course the same hardware part, maybe a little bit different, like setup and so on, but still, it feels really, really good in the corners, so precise and good to control. It has increased in wheelbase, but you would not feel that as a negative. It still feels really, really good, so you don't feel that it would be less agile just because of the longer wheelbase and so on. So indeed, this is something that they master still very, very well. By the way, here, for example, especially when going downhill from the dynamic to the efficiency mode, then you can get some of the recuperation effect. And here, for example, you hear it, you also see it here in this RPM meter, which is not that well visible though, but now RPM to 0, the engine is shut off. So at this moment we are sailing, we are sailing, we are sailing without petrol, or diesel use in this case. So in this case, I can gain back energy going downhill. The engine is shut off, better for efficiency. And there can be even moments like when you maneuver around the parking lot and so on, where you can even still drive with that mild hybrid system without the petrol being on. So a little bit earlier off camera, I think it was during my German moderation, we were driving like even 15 kilometers an hour in the city, like even uphill, and this was like, I don't know, for 5 minutes all electric. So this happens, and this really sophisticated MHEV system they have built in here. So yeah, I can just stress enough positive things about driving this one here. Really cool. And also these fabric seats here, by the way, are holding us tight. They're breathable, they don't get hot. So this is also a good experience here in these fabric seats. Although I would still also wish that they also offer a high-grade leatherette seating here. Leah, what about your perceived difference? Audi S5 versus Audi A5?
I like this one more.
You like this one
Yeah.
more?
Because
Interesting.
it's a little bit more comfortable.
So Leah would go for the more
Suspension
comfortable
is not
choice.
so stiff for the passenger.
Ah, interesting. So you know, me as a driver, I don't feel so much suspension difference between S and this model, but it's interesting. But because these comfort things are often heavier on the passenger, and so when she says that the suspension is more comfortable here, she must be right about this. So yeah, I have more driving road contact with the S model, definitely. This one also does very well. Yeah, the diesel is not the most fun engine, but I would say the MHEV system does better to the diesel than it does to the V6, because the V6 then you also lose a little bit of puristic sports engine feeling. Here with the diesel, it doesn't sound that great anyway, and when you then have some electric boost and also these recuperation moments where the engine is shut off completely, then it actually only contributes to a more technological, more high-tech, sophisticated driving feeling. So yeah, these are the small, fine little deals, and you see the conditions are not ideal today. Maybe what you feel, but for testing, there's actually good conditions. So we can also give you a glimpse of that, and also the noise installation here. I mean, it's rain outside and passing cars sometimes, and it's still very silent in here. Of course, at a later stage, I would like to repeat even more driving impressions, driving high speed on the German Autobahn, for example. Pricing, I can already tell you something about the German prices. So the European price might be a little bit similar depending on the market. 45,000 euros entry price, around 2,000 euros more for the Avant version than here. And if you spec this vehicle with all the options we have here, and remember, this is only a standard 2-liter TDI, well, it's an MHEV system, 2 and 4 horsepower, not like 2 little horsepower, all-wheel drive. But then big wheels, the highest technology package, some visual things, blah, blah, blah. Not the base seats. 80,000 euros for this spec vehicle. That's really hefty. I think too expensive in list price. And yeah, at the end of the day, especially with these vehicles, it's all about the leasing rates. Hardly anyone buys these like for a new sticker price and then keeps the car. Usually it's done via the leasing rates, and the business fleets usually get a large discount on that when they say, hey, I take 1,000 Audi A5 Avant, then they also get a good leasing rate offer, for example. Yeah, that's the reality. But then if you have to pay like taxation for the private use of this vehicle, the list price still does matter a lot. And that's just too expensive, I feel. Also, when you consider the S model, which starts at 80,000 euros, but then is almost fully spec'd, and you can maybe add like 10K or something, then from a full, really reasonably spec'd S5 to an A5, which is fully spec'd, you only have 10,000 euros difference. So they are both overpriced, but the normal A5 is more overpriced than the S5 in comparison. You know what I mean? I think visually it works very well. It's also good quality on the interior in general. Some options and stuff is missing, like an all animal-free interior, which BMW 3 Series and 4 Series is standard with that one now. So Audi needs to do better in that respect. And the rear legroom is really, really tiny. But I think the best aspects are really exterior design works. However, differentiation between S model and S line needs to be larger, I feel, in the favor of S customers. And driving-wise, it's fantastic. It drives so well. And overall there also, like the difference between the true S model and the normal one is a little bit smaller, although the true S model is still more fun, definitely. And yeah, pricing is of course really high. You should now tune in to the all-new S5. There you can also see the sedan or the Sportback. And if you haven't seen so far, my personal car S5 episode.